Okay, so this is my final project for Digital Media 12. What I did was I created an ASCII art generator, and what that means is you can input any image and it will output a version of that image built up from characters on a keyboard. And alright, let's get straight into it. So these are the libraries that I imported, which these libraries contain functions such as argc and other technical things that help make the code a bit easier to complete. What I did here is these are just some error messages that help the user understand where they went wrong if something doesn't work in the program. This is a detector to see whether the input file is the correct file format, and the correct file format that we want is a BMP file, and that is essentially a bitmap file, which is just like a JPG. The reason that we use a BMP instead of a JPG is because it's a bit more manageable for C, for the programming software. Now, the variables defined here are the height and width of the input image, and that just helps me know the exact height and width so that I can create my output image the same size as the input image. This is a memory allocation for the image, and some more error messages. Padding is the outline of the image. This just makes sure that it can fit on the output. Now the out file over here is opened, and this is the iteration through each pixel. What that means is that my program goes through each pixel, averages the RGB value of that pixel, and depending on what value is determined, so if it's less than 50, which means the pixel is quite dark, then it would output in 2 @ symbols, and etc., depending on how dark or light each pixel is. And by averaging it before we do this iteration, it makes the image grayscale, which is easier to deal with. And that's the end of the program. So I will go through a few examples of this. So this is our images folder. I will go through, I will show an example of apple.bmp, which is the Apple logo, art.bmp, which is just an art picture that I found online, and a picture of me. Okay, so we'll start with the Apple. We have to run our program, ascii, and we will input from our images folder the Apple logo, apple.bmp, and we will export in our exports folder, which is just over here, the Apple, and we'll make it a text file because the ASCII outputs it onto a text file just as plain text. Now if we open this up here, you can see I will switch it to I'll turn off dark mode just so you can see it a bit clearer. That is the Apple logo. And this is just made out of slashes, dots, and @ symbols. Now we will go back to our code, and this time we will run our program for the art image, images/art.bmp, and we'll export it as art.txt, which will do the same thing. And exporting art.txt, we'll just zoom out a little bit, and that is the export of the image. This was art.bmp, and this is art.txt. And this is also made out of characters, just a much larger file. Okay, now we will do our third image file, and this time we will run our program same as normal, but now we'll input from images/hargan.bmp. This is going to be the image of me, and we will put this in our exports folder and call it hargan.txt, and there it exported as hargan.txt. Just open that up, move that up here, and now if we zoom out a little bit, you should be able to see. It might take a moment just because this is a quite large file, and there is a text representation of me. Right, this works with any picture, and all you have to do is make sure that the image file is a BMP file, a 24-bit BMP, and that's it. My program can generate text out of essentially any picture. Right. And that was my final project for Digital Media 12.